This is the way I race my young birds. So we've got two sections next door to each other. 1, 2. Door between them. It's essential. When I wean my youngsters off, I'll wean off one section at a time, fill a section up, and then move on and fill the other section up. Roughly 70 pigeons, 70 young birds. I've got 80 perches in these two sections, 40 in each. When they start showing, I'll start putting blue marker rings on the cocks, and the hens just have yellow marker rings. As more and more cocks show, put blue marker rings on. So they'll go to the first race all mixed up, cocks and hens together. That door down there would be open. When they come back from the first race, then they're basically on the system. I'll separate the cocks and hens a couple of hours after they've come back from the first race. So now they're on a roundabout system. They will loft fly separately, they will train separately, they eat separately. The only time they see each other is when they come back from a race. So they're going through the trap, the little flap will be open, and they can go in together just for a couple of hours. Then they're separated for the following week. So this is our third week coming up this week. So the first week they went away all mixed up, all together, flew well. We didn't win the combine, we was only 6th combine. A couple of hours, separated the cocks and hens, on for week 2. Now last week they done really well, really tough race, and we're high up in the combine. May have won it, not sure yet. If we have won it, I think we'll be about 30 yards a minute in front. So they done really well. Only had 3 pigeons, well I had 4 pigeons come. One of them didn't clock and then flew off again, but he came back about 3/4 of an hour later. They were quite dehydrated this week. So anyway, they're back on the system again. So they've had a training toss of just over 20 miles this morning. Separated, hens first, dry them through, then the cocks come home, don't see each other. So we do all that all week. Fridays, I don't feed on a basketing day. They get as much as they want on a Thursday, which this is my basic mix for my young birds. I think I've covered this before, but this is the basic mix. This is Versilaga traditional super winner. Included in that is a third barley. So super winner, Versilaga super winner is really high in carbohydrates, and I like racing my pigeons on high carbohydrate food. It's only sprint racing. The youngsters are only going out to just under 200 mile, and I find a high carbohydrate food, well, I just got it off to a T and it's working well for me. So I know corn is a very controversy subject. There's many roads that lead to Rome. This is what I use. Third barley all week except for the Thursday, and on the Thursday they will get 100% Versilaga super winner, no barley added. The only thing that I'll add on a Thursday, I will give them extra maize. So they'll have extra red maize and extra yellow maize. Now I feed that first because I want them to eat the maize. You mean they love flicking around getting all these small seeds, the safflower seeds, all the little mung beans, dairy. They like eating them. They prefer that to the maize. So I always feed the maize first. And then I'll feed in small amounts. Well, say there was 20 pigeons in here. I'd put down 10 ounces. They'd clear that really quick. I'd put down another 10 ounces. They'd clear that. Now, next I would feed them 5 ounces. And I would expect them to eat everything. If they leave anything, they don't get any more. If they clear that 5 ounces, they'll have another 5 ounces. If they clear all that, they'll have another 5 ounces. I'm not too worried how much they eat on a Thursday, as long as they eat all they can eat. But they've got to clear everything. So that's the way I send my pigeons to the race. They don't get fed on a Friday. The only thing that they will get is that there, which is my own mix of trapping and conditioning. So basically it is 50% trapping and conditioning, and the other 50% is made up of hemp, linseed and safflower seed. So that's my mix for trapping and conditioning. They'll get a handful of that per 20 pigeons 2 hours before basketing. Now with this system with the young birds, it's a roundabout system, but one thing I have found over the years, it's really important to make sure you put them together for a fair amount of time, especially the early races, because they're not used to the system. The cocks need to go into the hens for at least 2 hours before going off to the club. Now the reason for that is the young cocks, they're frustrated, they haven't seen their hens all week, they'll drive them mad. If you only put them in there for a few minutes, they're all worked up, take them off to the club, they're in the baskets, all they're going to do is want to fight with everything else. So the way I found it, if you give them at least 2 hours, give them 3 hours, but give them at least 2 hours, when they get off to the club and get basketed, they seem to be a lot more settled, and then they race better on the race day. So that's basically my system. Now in the water, I don't give a huge amount in the water. Any medication or anything like that will go on their food. I'd rather put it on their food because they'll all go there and eat. I don't want the water to taste funny. There's multivitamins in there in the minute. You can see it's a little bit yellow. I use a poultry multivitamins. It's just so much cheaper. So any medication or anything like that will go in their water. The only thing that I do put in their water, I use apple cider vinegar to reduce the pH. Now I've done a lot of testing on the pH as well. My tap water comes out at 8.3, which is alkaline. Now in an alkaline environment, a lot of these parasites will thrive, like worms, coccidiosis. They'll thrive in an alkaline environment. So I reduce my pH down to 4.5 with apple cider vinegar. Now I bought myself a digital pH tester, and all I need is 1 ml per litre to take my water from 8.3 down to 4.5. So that's all they get. They get 1 ml per litre of apple cider vinegar, and they'll get it most days. When I'm putting anything else in the water, I don't put apple cider vinegar in. So today they've got multivitamins. I don't put apple cider vinegar in then. It's just plain water that's been stood for 24 hours to help release all the chlorine, and just your multivitamins. So that's the only thing that they get. On a Friday, they don't get any apple cider vinegar in their water, simply because apple cider vinegar, you don't want them to taste it and it's too bitter for them. You want them to drink as much as they can on a Friday. They've got to keep their fluids up, because their intake of fluids will be less when they're in transport. Not every pigeon will go there and drink. That's why you get some coming back dehydrated. But I do basket train all my youngsters. So there's two ways that I do it. I've got those little bars there, and I put a drinker in front, but I also basket my pigeons up before we start racing. So I'll feed them, basket them up, put them on my trailer, put the water on, and they'll stay on there overnight. So it's a dummy race basically. Next morning I'll be off early and take them training, and they'll have that a few times before they go racing, so they understand that there's water on the side of them when they get transported. So that's basically how my young bird system. Automatic belts, nice and easy for cleaning out. I was going to keep them on a clean floor this year, but I just haven't got around to it. So I'll probably keep them on this deep litter